What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 5 value plays. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to give you a couple of value plays at each position. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NFL Week 5, let's take a look at the quarterback position. My favorite value play for this week is Teddy Bridgewater from the Carolina Panthers playing the Atlanta Falcons, who have the absolute worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater has averaged 19 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3 rush attempts per game. He scored 27 fantasy points last game. He had 6 rush attempts, and he's going to be about 8% owned, projected at 19.5 fantasy points here in Week 5. He's $5,900 DraftKings salary and $1,200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 53.5 points scored in this game, with the Carolina Panthers just trailing by 1.5 points. So they have this as a close, competitive game. Best quarterback matchup on the slate. So I like Teddy Bridgewater here versus the Atlanta Falcons. And another value play here at the quarterback position is Gardner Minshew from the Jacksonville Jaguars playing the Houston Texans, who have the 6th worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing quarterbacks. Gardner Minshew has averaged 21.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.5 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 6% owned, projected at 19.4 fantasy points here in Week 5. He's $6,200 DraftKings salary and $1,000 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 54 points scored in this game, and they have the Jacksonville Jaguars trailing by 5.5. So a high-scoring game, a decent matchup here, and it should be a passing game script. So I like Gardner Minshew here versus the Houston Texans. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. So looking for value at the running back position, I like Kenyon Drake from the Arizona Cardinals playing the New York Jets, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, but they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Kenyon Drake has averaged 9.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 16.8 rush attempts per game and 1.3 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 11% owned. He's on the field for 67% of the snaps, touches the ball 38% of that time. He's projected at 13.9 fantasy points here in Week 5, and he's $5,700 DraftKings salary and $500 more on FanDuel. So Kenyon Drake has been underperforming so far here this season, so I think he has a breakout game coming, and it could come here versus the Jets. It's a good matchup, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 47 points scored in this game, with the Cardinals favored by 7. So it could be a rushing game script, so I like Kenyon Drake here versus the New York Jets. The other value play that I like at running back is Todd Gurley from the Atlanta Falcons playing the Carolina Panthers, who have a good defense overall, but they give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Todd Gurley has averaged 13.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 16.3 rush attempts per game and 2 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 12% owned, and he's projected at 15.7 fantasy points here in Week 5. He's also $5,700 DraftKings salary, and he's $1,000 more on FanDuel. So we know Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 53.5 points scored in this game, with the Falcons favored by 1.5. You got a nice matchup here, high scoring game, and they're favored. So I like Todd Gurley here versus the Carolina Panthers. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL, MLB is still going, NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. Looking for value here at the wide receiver position, I like Sammy Watkins from the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who have the 10th worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing wide receivers. Sammy Watkins has averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.8 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 8% owned here, on the field for 76% of the snaps, touches the ball 13% of that time. He's projected at 13 fantasy points here in week 5, and he's only $4,500 DraftKings salary, and he's $1,100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 55 points scored in this game, with the Kansas City Chiefs favored by 11.5. So a lot of points to go around in this one. Sammy Watkins is getting nice pass volume, 7 and 8 pass targets in the last 2 games. He can put up some fantasy points. So I like Sammy Watkins here versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, another value play that I like here is Michael Gallup from the Dallas Cowboys playing the New York Giants, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing wide receivers. Michael Gallup has averaged 12.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 13% owned here. He's on the field for 88% of the snaps, and he's projected at 13.2 fantasy points here in week 5. He's $5,400 DraftKings salary and $300 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 54 points scored in this game, with the Dallas Cowboys favored by 9. So you could also play CeeDee Lamb here as a value play. Both of these guys are good plays. The Dallas Cowboys are passing the ball a ton, although I think that might change here this week. I think they're going to give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott quite a bit in this one, but Michael Gallup should have plenty of targets and plenty of opportunities to hit value here. So I like Michael Gallup here versus the New York Giants. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. I really like this value play here. I just can't get away from this one. I like Evan Engram from the New York Giants playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have the 2nd worst defense overall, and they give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Evan Engram has averaged 7.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 7.5 pass targets per game. He got 10 pass targets last game, so he's getting a ton of volume. He's going to be about 22% owned. He's on the field for 90% of the snaps. He's projected at 12 fantasy points here in week 5, and he's only $4,600 DraftKings salary and $900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 54 points scored in this game, with the New York Giants trailing by 9. So you have everything you want in a fantasy player here at the tight end position in Evan Engram. You have a fantastic matchup versus the Dallas Cowboys, who haven't been able to stop anybody in the passing game. And then you have a high-scoring game, and then you have a game that the New York Giants should be trailing in this game. So you have a passing game script. I just think The mix is right here for Evan Engram. Plus, he's getting high volume of passes. So I like Evan Engram here versus the Dallas Cowboys. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.